Carl and Brendan here from Games, Brains and Head-Banging Life, gbhblofficial for short. And it's the big question, a really simple one here. It's simply this: your 3 favorite Metallica tracks. Not necessarily the best Metallica tracks, the best written, the best lyrics, the best soloing, etc. and so on, but the ones that are your favorite. Now, coincidentally, it's Metallica, so chances are there will be a crossover there that a favorite will somehow arguably often be the best anyway, or one of the best tracks they do. But there's no cheating here. This is generally the 3 favorite tracks. There's no ask me tomorrow and I'll change my mind. This is the whole 3 that, in one case, pretty much came to mind straight away. One of mine, I initially wrote down and scrubbed through it and went, nah. Just remind yourself of some of the track listings. And then I ended up putting it back because I was like, no, there's a reason why you think this is your favorite.
Yeah. I did a similar thing, to be honest. I wrote 2 down instantly.
Yep.
Because I knew that. And then the third one I wrote down, and then I changed it and then changed it. But then after a period of time, when I couldn't make my mind up, I kept coming back to the one I'd written down instantly. And I was like, well, maybe that's what it is then.
Maybe that's what it is. I suspect we will for sure have one the same. I'm sure of that, actually, that we'll have one the same. The other 2 I'm not too sure about. I think one of the 2 would definitely be interchangeable. And I think my third one is unlikely to be on yours, but I could be wrong. I could be completely wrong. That's the fun of it. So we'll do this, take us in turns, deal 1 each. So I will throw out the first one, and it's the one that I think we will both have. I could be right or wrong here. And it is simply this: the greatest instrumental ever written by any band ever in the entire world. Yes, you can quote me on that, is Orion from Master of Puppets. It is a piece of phenomenal music from beginning to end. Something that I never get sick of hearing. In fact, when I haven't heard it in a while, I come back to it. Whatever reason, I'm still amazed. I'm still like, that is stunning. That is brilliant. And Metallica do really good instrumentals overall. But Orion is just on a different level. I don't think there's a better instrumental in the entire world. That's it. But one of my favorite.
Yeah, and it is on my list, Orion, for exactly the same reasons. The greatest instrumental ever written, and I just can't see how anything can ever be written that one day it will be like, oh my god, it's surpassed Orion. Just not seeing it, to be honest. I think Orion is a masterpiece, a piece of pure perfection. Yeah.
And that we've got to see it live is always going to be an important thing as well.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, here's the one that we might have the same, but we also might differ on, because I really wanted to put Master of Puppets in this overall, but I didn't in the end. It's not on my 3. And I weighed up Master of Puppets against this other track, this one I'm about to mention here, and I realized that this was one I think I liked overall more, and it's one from And Justice for All. It's one. That to me is arguably a perfect example of melodic Metallica and heavier Metallica. The pacing of that track, the builder structure is so fucking immense that moves through the stages. It's dramatic. It's telling a story. So lyrically, it's actually really fucking good. An area you can criticize Metallica over easily is not something you can criticize them on here. It's got a kick-ass video to go along with it. It's never boring live. Even adapted it live to create this sort of war, fireworky, explosions, effects thing as well. So yeah, I settled on one and was like, you know what? Yep, it has to be favorite.
And I don't have one in my list, but I do. That's not to go, oh, I don't like one. I agree with everything you're saying. It's fucking phenomenal. It's a phenomenal song. So I'm going to do my third on my list first. But only because they're not really in any particular order other than Orion. But just because it's more in line with that. And actually, it's from the same album, and it is And Justice for All, the song.
Oh, good choice.
Now, everything that you said about one, I 100% agree with. But it also exists in And Justice for All. The mix of melody, the harmonizing guitars, the softer side, and then the heavier chants coming in, and lyrically it's also phenomenal as well. And like you said, that's not, especially in later days, something I would ever put Metallica down as being particularly brilliant at anymore. Writing deep and meaningful lyrics like they did back in the day. But And Justice for All, and it's called about literally about the lack of justice and unfairness and everything like that, is brilliant. Now, I loved one I love one still, but I remember vividly, and even today, like I'm more likely to skip one and listen to And Justice for All. And back in the day when I listened to And Justice for All for the first time, vividly remember playing it through end to end as you did, but back then, there's no, it was harder to skip than it was to just play, to be honest with you. And loving it, loving the whole album, being like, yeah, this is a shit, and then being stuck on And Justice for All, the song, for weeks and weeks and weeks. Loved other songs too, loved one, but I always went back to And Justice for All.
I mean, it's an incredible track. It really is. That's kind of like, I was just thinking, I was like, we got to do a track by track. We haven't done a Metallica track by track in at least a year.
No.
So we'll probably Justice for All will definitely have to come in the future, because you're talking about Blackened, Harvest of a Sorrow, and To Live Is to Die. That's, what an album.
Yeah.
What an album. The fact we both chose a track from it speaks volumes. Okay, man, and those two were kind of easy for me, and like I said, I ended up settling on this third one based on, I've previously cited when talking about Metallica, that is a song on the album Ride the Lightning that happens to have my favorite guitar solo ever. Like, it's just blows my mind. I love it. It blew my mind then. I still love it now. So for Ride the Lightning, it is actually Ride the Lightning. That there is one of my all-time favorite tracks. I love the pace of that track, but my God, when that kicks and changes tone into that guitar, and it's just down, and then they start solo it, it blows. I love it. I absolutely fucking love it. That's my third one.
And my third one goes back a little bit earlier.
Ooh.
And it is The Four Horsemen.
Oh, wow.
Long-term favorites track. This was the, like when I said two are easy, this is the one that was easy. Orion and The Four Horsemen, and then I had to debate a bit on the third one. And there's a little bit of feeling dirty, you feel like, yeah, you're right, I should have, why haven't you done Master of Puppets? I haven't done anything off Ride the Lightning, and I love Ride the Lightning. There's so many songs, like the song Ride the Lightning, For Him the Bell Tolls. There's so much on that fucking album. Creeping Death.
Yeah, Creeping Death.
Call of Cthulhu, another phenomenal instrumental. I mean, it's unreal. But The Four Horsemen for me, I didn't listen to Kill 'Em All early. I listened to the Black Album and Justice for All sort of era, and then I worked back.
Yep.
And so the Kill 'Em All, in a weird way, from that early era was the last album that I heard of Metallica, because I'd probably worked back sequentially, to be honest with you. And I liked a lot of it, but then at the same time, like after coming from like And Justice for All and Master and all that sort of stuff, there were songs that I wasn't quite as in love with, like Whiplash and that shorter side of stuff. And The Four Horsemen for me though is like the pinnacle of that album and the pinnacle of early day Metallica. I think it's got a phenomenal solo. It's catchy. It's got rhythm. It's not like trying to be a 2.5-minute blast track. It almost like was a sign of things to come, I think, a little bit, with a bit more of an expansive melodic solo and stuff like that. It actually stands out a bit on Kill 'Em All as quite different to the rest of the album, I think. Which I guess in a way, if it had been the last song on the album, you could probably go, oh, that you can see how that maybe transitioned into Ride the Lightning, but it's like the fourth track on it, so it's kind of odd. But I love it. It's a fantastic song.
It is a fantastic song. It's one of my favorite, if not probably my favorite from Kill 'Em All. And it shows its popularity as well, is that you can catch that song still live, like it's still part of a Metallica set live. And not much beyond what's his face? Oh, fuck, well, I've forgotten his name. The one they always play. Oh.
What from? Oh, Seek and Destroy.
Seek and Destroy, thank you. There it is. Yeah, like that's pretty much those two from Kill 'Em All that get their airing. It is always going to be tough. It seems like a straightforward, but you're like, oh, we'll just pick the 3 favorite tracks. But then, like I said, we've had to drop off. You've named so many tracks from these albums, but we talk about Master of Puppets, Welcome Home Sanitarium. There's another great fucking track.
Yep.
Admittedly, it does kind of end after Injustice for me. I didn't even look towards the Black Album, Load or Reload or Saint Anger or anything like that. I was like, you're not going to come from the first 3.
I debated on the Black Album for a bit, but only particularly on the one song, The Unforgiven, because that was probably my first true Metallica song I loved.
Yep.
Like, I loved the weird, like, do you see like the 16-minute long sort of video that was done for it? I loved it. It was like, oh, this is so weird and different. You know what I mean? But I didn't debate on it for long, to be honest.
There you go. There's our 3 favorite Metallica tracks. What are yours? Let us know in the comments.
Thank you very much for watching. If you liked what you saw, please help us out by giving us a thumbs up and hitting that subscribe button. If you really liked what you saw, consider donating to keep the website and channel running by buying us a coffee via our coffee page or picking up some merch from our Big Cartel store. You can check us out on gbhbl.com as well as via our social media, Facebook, Instagram and Twitter, as well as listen to our interviews via SoundCloud, Apple Music and Spotify. Just search for GBHBL. Games, horror and heavy metal. What else is life for?